Happy Thanksgiving and welcome to Christianish. So, this is Keshia Rice here, and I am recording this podcast on Thanksgiving morning because I'm late this week. um, but I'm kind of glad that I am recording it today because I was thinking about what I'm grateful for and how I could give you a nice, grateful, and profound thoughts for this holiday. And I realized that the thing that I'm grateful for is that I learned to have relationships before the internet was as big as it is now. And let me explain that. So, here's the thing. I am a tech nerd, right? I love all things technology. And I am also generally supportive of online dating, right? I know that there are some issues with it. There's some things that you have to be aware of as far as like safety concerns and all of that. Totally get that. But in general, I think that online dating apps and websites expand the dating pool and give you more opportunities to meet that right person. I also feel the same way with social media. Social media has made it where you can meet more people in general and expand your relationships, whether that is potential business partners, friends, and yes, relationships. So, again, there are so many blessings to technology. But here's the thing that I'm noticing. So, I became a dating coach in 2019, right? So, a year before the pandemic. And when I first started working with clients, most of the women that I was working with were millennials. So these are women who are tech savvy and are internet savvy because you have to think if you are millennial, I'm a millennial myself. We came of age right when Facebook was just getting started. And then we also, we were still in our 20s, basically, for Instagram, we were in high school when MySpace came along. So social media is very much a part of our growing up and our moving into adulthood. Now, 6 years later, I am starting to have more and more clients who are Gen Z. And that makes sense, right? Because you have to think the youngest members of Gen Z are in their late 20s now. So when I started coaching, these women were in college, not necessarily thinking about serious relationships, not necessarily thinking about hiring a dating coach. But now that these women are in their late 20s and they may not be where they want to be career wise, but they're at least established. Their friendship circles also established. So, now they're thinking more about, potentially whether or not they want to get married, whether or not they want to have kids. They're thinking about all those things. It makes sense to be thinking about getting help with that and hiring a dating coach. So now that I am starting to have some Gen Z clients, one thing that I have noticed, and I say this lovingly, I really do mean this in a loving way, is that a lot of y'all suck at communication, right? And a lot of y'all suck at really being able, I don't even want to say willing, really being able to put in the time necessary, the effort necessary to discern who is the right partner for you. And this is not your fault because here's the thing. The internet has already made it easier for people to not develop real relationships, right? Because when you have things like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, you don't have to call up your friends and see how they're doing, right? You can check social media and see their posts, see their feed, see their stories, and you can have someone in your life who you haven't talked to in years, but you can know when they got married, when they had kids. You can know what job they're working at. If they don't post it on Facebook, this is posted on LinkedIn, right? You can know what movies they've seen, what vacations they've taken, all of these things without actually having a real conversation with the person. And then you have online dating apps that make it so a person can go onto an app and they almost feel like they're ordering a potential date the same way you would order DoorDash or Uber Eats. And what I mean by that is, you know, back in the day, not that I'm old, there's still a 3 in front of my age, but, when I was first starting to date, you went out places in person and you saw someone who you thought was attractive, or maybe they spotted you and they came up to you and started a conversation and everything, and you had to start from ground zero. So you get approached by someone, you know nothing about this person, and you'd have to take the time to have conversations with them. And now in this internet age, you have online dating apps that have these profiles, and people think that they can completely judge a person based on the profile. And then after you meet someone on the app, instead of scheduling a date, getting to know them in person, you drag out these interactions through technology as long as possible, sending a bunch of text messages, probably not even doing phone calls. And then you may find yourself in a place of rejecting someone who could have been a potentially good partner, because the second they text something that you don't like, even though because it's over text messages, you don't understand tone and things like that, you are automatically dismissing them. And because online dating apps present you with more options, you kind of assume that you can dismiss people quickly and there will be a line of other options for you the second that you dismiss this person. And yes, there are more options. Again, I'm a fan of online dating apps and sites because you expand your dating pool. But at the same time, just because there are more options doesn't mean that the options are better. Here's where I'm going with this. If you are really serious about wanting to have a healthy, loving, fulfilling relationship, you are going to have to be more intentional about the effort that you put into creating relationships. What this means is, I have said this before, I am not a fan of online dating. I am a fan of online meeting. You should do everything possible to expand your options. So that includes looking at online profiles. That includes interacting with people on social media. You never know. Like, I see a lot of women being dismissive of a man who DMs them, any man who DMs them. And like, yeah, they're creeps. Like, I'm not going to deny that. Even as a married woman now, I get creepy men in my DMs, right? So they exist. But at the same time, there are also genuine men who will use that as a way to shoot their shot. And if that's the case, you should take some time. If you get a DM from a man, actually take the time to go look at his profile. See if you have mutual friends. See if you have friends in common that can vouch for this person. Or see who he's following, right? Is he following, accounts that talk about positive things, or is he following like Andrew Tate and Fresh and Fit, right? But don't automatically dismiss that. So expand your pool through the internet. Also expand your pool in real life. Like get a hobby, find new interests, go to places where you can explore that interest. If you're a reader, go to book sales, join a book club. If you are into health and fitness and exercise, find hiking clubs, find bike clubs, any of those things, right? This podcast is called Christian-ish. So if you are a Christian girly, or if you are a religious girly, and beyond just your church, your mosque, your synagogue, all of that, find, find organizations that are religious, volunteer with them. Go to other churches, mosques, synagogues in your area, go to conferences, all of those things. But then once you do that, you have to keep a few things in mind. One, there's a difference between dropping someone because of clear red flags, like this person is rude, this person says something dismissive or misogynistic or anything like that. There's a difference between that. Now, if you see red flags, clear red flags, you should dismiss someone immediately. If someone disrespects a boundary of yours, you should dismiss them immediately. But there's a difference between that and ghosting someone, no longer talking to them, not dealing with them just because you have one awkward interaction, just because you don't want to do the work to find out things behind it. And what I mean by that is someone texts something, and again, because text messages, you can't tell tone. You're just like, oh, I don't like that, so I'm not going to talk to them again, instead of asking a follow-up question. Hey, what did you mean by that? Because that, hey, what did you mean by that takes 10, 15 seconds, right? You also need to be more intentional about spending time with people in person in real life for that reason. You don't have nuance behind text messages, behind chats online, behind any of that. So you are much better served by, again, online meeting, but not online dating. Meet someone online and then immediately not just take it off the app, but take it to meeting them in real life, at a place, a restaurant, whatever. Because by doing this, you can hear them speak. You can get tone from the things that they're saying. You can see body language. There are so many things that you can discern that you do not get from messaging back and forth. Even if you don't want to immediately take it to a in real life meetup, at least do a video chat. This is why we have FaceTime. This is why we have Zoom, Google Meet, all of those. You want to, as quickly as possible, be able to see a person and hear a person. Doing this will help you hone your discernment better and your intuition better. And in the end, you will waste less time, because I hear this argument all the time. Well, I would rather just send messages back and forth and really get to know them first before wasting my time on a date. Well, you're doing all this text messaging and you are building up something in your head, whether you are building up ways to not like this person, even though they could potentially be a match for you, or because this person, you're not having to see them in person. For all you know, someone else could be writing their text messages for them, right? And now you're building up in your head this great guy that you think you're in love with, and it's not even his words, right? Or, he's Googling like what things to say. And if you think that sounds ridiculous, I promise you, there are online forums for men nowadays that are dedicated to helping men crowdsource the responses that they should give to messages. So you are much better served by meeting someone in person where they don't have as much help. But not only that, I want you to stop interviewing for other people. Because the other thing about us becoming so reliant on technology and social media is that all of us, myself included, post our highlight reels on social media. We only post the best parts of ourselves. And when it comes to dating, that often lends to us going out of our way to also show the best part of ourselves on a date and treating it like we are being interviewed for a job, the job of girlfriend, right? And instead, I want you to focus on how you feel with this person. Instead of thinking, I need to put on some polished version of myself, truly focus on being yourself and then asking yourself how yourself, the real you, feels when you're with this person. And this is not about putting yourself on a pedestal and making yourself better than the other person and being like, oh, it's all about me, because it should go both ways, right? If you are truly compatible with this person, if this relationship is a match, and both of you are showing up as yourselves and focusing on how you feel, then both of you should feel good with the real versions of you. So, again, on this Thanksgiving, I am grateful for having had time to learn how to date before the internet. And I hope that you will be grateful for being able to consider this that I'm telling you, and for spending some time, because hopefully you have the weekend off, you'll have some time off during the holidays, to think about what does it look like to really be intentional about the relationships that I build, and what can I do to spend more time building those relationships offline. So I'm also grateful for you. I'm grateful for you being patient with me this week with a late episode. And I love you so much. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
This podcast is brought to you by Contessa Digital.